Hi, I hope this finds you well, wherever you might be, however you're spending your time, whether it's mostly by yourself with lots of friends and family and loved ones, or perhaps it's with your pets in the more than human realm, of which is just as meaningful and special for relationships. And speaking of which, in full disclosure, this is actually the second time I'm recording this video. Earlier it was in a very pristine spot and my dog happened to show up and sit in my lap, and I was like, oh, I know people will enjoy that, and it was very special to share it with him. And I also learned later that there was a very loud airplane flying overhead that you couldn't hear. So here I am recording this now, and I'm coming to you for the same purpose as the earlier video, which is to talk to you about our upcoming free programming called the Fireside Chats. And yet before doing that, I want to tell you a little bit about how I came to want to offer this. And it begins by saying that I've always been contemplative. My parents commented on that when I was a young kid, and I think it's stayed with me through my adolescence and young adulthood, and certainly once becoming a parent, as I think many of you can relate, we're more prone to consider questions of like, what's really important, what matters and is meaningful. And I know that I've been in that certainly since being a young kid and parenting, and then with coronavirus and the ongoing pandemic that we're still navigating, not to mention our climate and other crises, it's prompting a lot of deeper questioning. And I keep coming back to a similar refrain that resonates with my mind, my psyche, my spirit, and that is, life is short and precious, follow your spark. And so that stayed with me personally and professionally as I consider what really cultivates spark in my life, not to mention what diminishes that fire, that aliveness, that light. And I'm still in the question, but there are some things I'm really clear about. And one is that I think I spend more time doing more things than I would really like that don't give me the spark, that kind of diminish that aliveness. And I wonder if many of you can relate to that. Some of that is unavoidable. Life requires that we do some things that are hard, that we don't necessarily love, that we got to be resilient and persevere and just keep getting through. And so I, like all of you, am no different. And yet I think I'm also aware that there are more places that I have choices than I possibly had thought about or realized. And so I'm trying to pursue and move forward with that lens of, does this cultivate the spark in me? And if not, then I better need to do it. And if it does, then let's keep going. And as it relates to the Eco-Psychology Initiative, I'm very clear about what I love and what gives me the spark. And that is deepening and connecting with all of you around eco-psychology, sharing as well as learning and listening as we explore the many applications of eco-psychology, whether it's individually, socially, organizationally, communally. There's so many applications, and there's so many different subject matter within that I really love engaging around. And so that is the preface for me saying that we've decided, in the spirit of promoting more of my spark, and hopefully in that and all of you, as well as the shared learning that we want, we're offering a new free online monthly program called the Fireside Chats. And this is going to be an opportunity for us to come together and explore one of the many diverse applications of eco-psychology, whether it's psychological biomimicry, how nature shapes our psychological development, the psychology of climate change, nature and spirituality, leadership. I'm really excited about all the different forays that we're going to be able to take on with this programming. Because as much as I love our classes and the depth that happens, we also miss, there's just not enough time for me to engage with our wider audience about all these different topics, for which I think eco-psychology can foster greater clarity and understanding, awareness of problems as well as solutions, so that we can move forward for the type of change and healing and regenerative world that I think we're all wanting. So that is the purpose behind our Fireside Chats. And like I said, it's free, it's once a month, it's an hour. The first 20 minutes or so, I or a guest teacher will talk about the subject at hand. And thereafter, I should say, we'll either have small groups or a larger discussion where we have some prompts that further the deepening and reflection that I think can enable us all to consider how to incorporate the material and the wisdom into our lives. And there's also going to be opportunities for Q&A to go slightly off subject. If there's a peripheral question or inquiry that engages the group, then we can talk about that. And I always love exploring that aliveness that comes up within the groups, that spark. And I think there's so much wisdom in that. So that's part of my hope as well with these Fireside Chats, is that they can promote and kind of replicate some of what we do with the webinars for those who've taken those in our classes or have seen the recordings if you didn't take them live. I hope this sounds interesting to you. I know that even just putting this recording together, not to mention planning and thinking about it, I get really excited. It furthers my spark. And so if you're interested, you're welcome to send us an email, join our mailing list. You can look at our website, not to mention keep an eye out for your inbox as we'll have more information coming forward. There's no requirement to participate. By joining our mailing list, you get an access to the recording as well as being informed about future upcoming gatherings. The plan right now is to experiment with timing. Surprising as it may be, and I feel so honored that our community is across the globe, it's a little bit hard to find times that work for me where I am on the eastern seaboard, not to mention those who are in Europe, the southern hemisphere, or the west coast as well. So we're going to keep experimenting till we find a time, but if you're interested, please join us. I know that I'm looking forward to more of what I believe the eco-psychology is really all about, the fire and the aliveness that's within our organization that I find as we engage with all of you in our communities. So again, I hope you're well. I hope you'll join us. And in the meantime, nature knows the way.